we know that so many women are going through really tough times, hard times, depressing times, lonely times. And so if
Us included.
That's right. So if you're here watching and you're going through a difficult journey, you're going through hard times, we're here to encourage you today.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to be encouraging us.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know us, we're Ruth and Casey. We're a mother-daughter team. We're here twice a week to encourage you, whether it's about a topic like this. We often talk about Christian weight loss as well. So if that sounds like something you'd like to be part of, make sure that you hit the subscribe button.
That's right. So let's dive in, because I know that so many people are going through really hard times. Like we're lonely, we're depressed, we think that we're failures, we think we're not good enough, we think that we just can't do anything right. We think, what is life worth living for? We're just kind of in this humdrum state of mind.
Well, and I think all of the statistics are showing us that mental health is like in the worst state it's ever been in North America.
That's right. And so I was just going to say, there's more suicides today than ever before. Where we live, I just heard this yesterday, and it's very saddening. And we have this thing called MAID, and you might have it where you live as well. I don't even know the exact what that stands for, but it's assisted suicide, basically.
Oh yeah, medical assistance in dying. That's what it stands for.
In dignity or something. But it's all about having dignity in dying. And we don't even, our country, Canada, it's rampant. In fact, our country is the highest in this statistic. And it saddens me, because what it means is that our mental health is very low. Yeah. It's bad. We're on the verge of mental dysfunction. And I'm going to say we are in dysfunctional mode.
Oh, completely. Yeah. And I think a large part of it, I think there's a lot of factors that play into it, but people are so lonely and people are so busy. All we do is scroll. And all we do is look at other people's perfect lives that aren't perfect, but look perfect online. That's and right. Then we feel like our life doesn't measure up to that. So
wait, you have to do the whole
anyways, it's just terrible. This is the wrong one. We're trying to get the computer so that we can see the comments. It's probably because it's on Do Not Disturb. Oh, there it is right there.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, our mental health is just not good. In a generalization.
That's right.
In our culture, like you might be doing okay with your mental health right now, but as a generalization, culturally, we are not doing well, and it's going down the train into our teenagers and our young children. In fact, I follow somebody on Instagram who has a 12-year-old boy she lives in Canada, and he has been like seeing a child psychologist all year because he has had such bad anxiety he couldn't even leave his house at 12.
Yeah.
And he comes from a good Christian home with two parents who, like, he doesn't, I want to say he doesn't have the stressors that you would think would create that level of anxiety. Like if you're a 12-year-old kid who your parents are high and you don't have any food to eat, like those are anxiety provoking things.
But when you come from a good faith-based or a believer's home, you don't think a 12-year-old will be in that state of mind.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, I believe that the devil is using our minds. He's playing tricks. We know that the devil is the father of lies, and he is seeking to devour. He's prowling, and he is working. He's working overtime to bring us down.
Yeah. And it's working.
It's working, exactly. So today, we want to encourage you, if you're going through a hard time, if you are feeling afraid or desperate or feeling anxious or overwhelmed, or maybe you're just disillusioned with the church, because I know there's a lot of that going on as well. So one of the verses that I'm going to say I encouraged one of our pastor's wives this week was this. It's from Exodus 14, verse 13. And I'm taking this out of context, but I know that God is still working today. He's working today like he did yesterday. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He's the same.
He's the same as back in the Exodus days.
That's right. And so here's the verse. Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." Wow. To me, that's such an encouragement. It just kind of thrills my soul to know that even today, I don't have to be afraid. No matter what I'm going through, no matter what I'm walking through. And I'm going to say, there's many of you, and we have our own issues. So many people are going through very difficult, hard trials and circumstances in their lives, things that you can't even dream up. You know, they're hard, and we know that, but we don't have to be afraid. We can still cast our cares on God. We can still stand firm, knowing and believing. That means not doubting, believing that God will deliver us today, because he's going to give us the strength we need today. He's not going to give us the strength we need 2 weeks from now. He's going to give it to us today.
And you might be in a season where maybe it's the going's good, and that's
right.
great, but we still need encouragement. We still need to believe that the Lord is going to deliver us today, and we don't have to be afraid. You might also be in a season where maybe it isn't like these crazy circumstances. Like, we know some people right now in our circle who, like you said, you just couldn't dream up the circumstances that they're finding themselves in. You might not have crazy circumstances like that, but even if you're lonely, that's hard.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about one. We have multiple friends in these kinds of scenarios right now, ones that we can't even dream up. But here's one. A friend of ours is having huge financial issues, and in the midst of it all, his lawyer has been disbarred. Now, that is something I couldn't even dream up.
No,
to
well,
think about.
and his lawyer, who was disbarred, embezzled
Millions.
way more money
Yeah.
from him than you and I could probably even imagine.
And not just him. Many, many others are in the same situation. And it's a struggle.
And then
because
today,
you can't get help.
Right. And then today his car broke down. Like, just to top it off, right?
And to top that off, he is a brand new believer. And so I'm going to ask you right now, if you're here and you're listening, you know, just send up a prayer for our friends, because we all need encouragement. We all need prayer. We all need to know that we don't have to be afraid. We still can stand firm, and God still delivers today.
And he might not deliver the way we want.
That's right.
In fact, he probably won't. Let's be honest about that. Because his plans and his ways are higher than ours.
I know. And we might think, oh, we want this great big lotto win with like all the money floating down. Like,
yeah, so that all your financial problems are just magically gone.
It's not going to work like that.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But even though we know that God still delivers, he might deliver in a way that we can't imagine, because his ways are mysterious. Like, we just can't dream them up. God is the God of creativity, and he knows how to take care of us every day.
Yeah. We've been at my house listening to, my girls are in love with the song The Goodness of God. And
such a good song.
Yeah. Like, what did you just say? And it reminded me of the song.
He can still deliver us today.
No, but anyways, his goodness is running after us.
Yeah.
Right? And like,
if you visualize that, just think about that. Goodness running after you.
Yeah. And so we have to remember that even in the hard times, he's still good. Even in the hard times, he's faithful. He's been that's what I was thinking. Oh, yeah. Like, he's been faithful through generations.
Yeah. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He's the same God.
Yeah, and think about, even if you think about the generations in your own family, think about, if you come from a long line of believers, think about all of the different hard things that, like, the generations before you have gone through, and
that's right.
They made it through.
So we told you about our one friend. That's just one. I want to talk to you, or we want to talk to you a little bit about another one. And, you know, we don't know if she's a believer or not. We know that she had a faith, but that's J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter's author, the Harry Potter series author. I was researching a little bit about her today because I know she had a very difficult life for a very long time. And I'm going to say she still has a difficult life.
Mm-hmm.
She went from rags to riches overnight.
Yeah.
And we might think, oh, wow, she won the lottery. It's not that simple. But way back then, she was a single mother. And for those of you who have ever had children or you know about children, you know raising children is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. There's many trials. There's many blessings, but it's not easy. And she was a single mother, so she had to do it alone. Well, for one, that's really difficult. She struggled with depression. We're talking about mental wellness today and resilience. Well, how did she find the strength to be resilient? In her situation, she was on welfare. She had many financial stressors.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? A single mom.
Taking care of her and her daughter, being on welfare. But she had this gift. She had this story in her brain, in her mind. And even though she was unemployed, she was on welfare, she hit rock bottom, she didn't let the story, she didn't let that gift that I'm going to say God gave her in her mind, she didn't let it go. She kept going on and on and on and working on it and working on it. And what I found is that in her circumstances, she persisted in her writing. She didn't give up. She was persistent in her habits. She persistently went out for walks with her daughter. Now, walking, we know, is one of the best things you can do for your mental wellness.
Yep.
So she was doing a great thing. Whether she knew it or not, she was. While she walked, when her daughter fell asleep, she would go sit in a coffee shop while her daughter was sleeping and write. Now, most of us would go, finally I get 5 minutes of peace. But no, she didn't get 5 minutes of peace. She was busy writing. So, I mean, talk about resilient.
That's for
She
sure.
believed in her story, and when she finally got it done, because she refused to give up, guess what happened to her then? It still wasn't easy. We think, oh wow, she finally got it done and then it was a breeze. No, it wasn't. She went to publisher after publisher after publisher after publisher after publisher. She went 12 times and she was rejected 12 times. Talk about depression.
Yeah, no kidding.
And discouragement. Wow. And here she thought, maybe this is something that's finally going to get me out of all my financial issues. And then it was just another one and another one. And I'm going to say all of that costs money. Like, I have books published. I know how much money I put out to publish books.
Yeah.
So I know that despite all of her struggles and circumstances, and I'm going to say, I'm sure she thought she was a failure by this time, but she persisted. Mm-hmm. And finally, Bloomsbury Publishing decided to take her on. And then it's like poof.
Yeah.
You know, rags to riches overnight. And then, is that easy from then on?
No, because can you imagine having a 180 in your life like that, and all of a sudden you're in the spotlight and you've never been there before and you don't know what to say and how to act, and people are upset with you, and this group loves the book and this group hates the book and this group says you're evil because it's about wizards, and
wow, it must have been just mind-boggling to her.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say her story, whether you like her story or not, is a real testament to the power of resilience. Mm-hmm. And whether you like her story or not, because I know there's some dark things in that story, but she kept on. She was persistent. And
even when we don't agree with somebody, there's still usually something that we can learn from them, or lessons that we can learn. And so
one of the lessons is about facing adversity.
Mm-hmm. And that, like, we have to keep going as believers, especially. Like, one of the verses that we have today is Romans 8 verse 37?
Yep.
In all things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. We are already conquerors, and we have to act like it. We have to live like we are more than conquerors, not live like we are defeated. And that just reminds me of like the armor of God too. If we are conquerors, like that always reminds me of soldiers in battle, right? We are victorious. We are more than conquerors, but that means that we have to continually be putting on our armor. We can't go into battle. I mean, I guess we can. Look at David and Goliath, right? Because God is on our side and all things are possible, but we are told to put on the armor of God every day. And so if we want to act like and live like we are more than conquerors, then we've got to do the actions that line up with that, who that is, right? And a conqueror and somebody who's victorious in a battle wears the right armor.
Not only that, they embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
Like they go into battle ready to charge. Like they are embracing it. They go in head first. Like they're. So I think really what we have to do is we have to shift our perspective. We have to, instead of thinking, oh no, another challenge, we have to go, I'm going to face this challenge. I'm going to face this adversity. I'm going to face this hard time because with God, not without him, with God, I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, we know that these things aren't easy. Like our friend that we were telling you about who has so much, I'm going to say crap going on.
Yeah, a lot of it.
It is not easy. Like there's nothing easy about it. And I'm sure you've been through hard times like that too. And it's like you go to bed and you're exhausted. You wake up and you're exhausted and you don't know how you're going to face another day. And in those times, I think that's where it has to start with. The first thing that we have to do is surrender the day, acknowledge that God is still God, and then like put on the armor.
That's right. And I'm going to say that's our second point is being persistent despite our discouragement.
Mm-hmm.
We have to still do the things we know we ought to do.
Yes.
And that is putting on the armor of God every morning. Even if we're discouraged, we put it on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like do a visual, grab a book and say, this is my shield and I resist you. I resist the devil.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do things that we know, even though we don't feel like doing it, we do anyway.
Okay. And here's the rant of the day. If you are
There's always a
struggling
rant.
with your mental health, get some exercise. Like do it for yourself. You're not going to feel like it.
Yeah.
You're just straight up not going to feel like it. Do it anyway. Like you just said, do the things. We need to do the things that we know we ought to do. And what we ought to do when we're struggling with our mental health is pray, surrender the journey, and get some exercise. Okay? Like it's been proven that exercise is as effective, if not more effective than medication. And most people for our mental health challenges, we're just going straight to the drugs and it's not working. Right?
Yeah,
it's not making people better.
No,
it's
we're
making
still
them
depressed.
Yeah.
I know.
So
what it makes us do is like just feel this no feeling, like
nothing.
We just go numb.
Yeah.
And we're not putting down meds because we know some people absolutely need medication.
Of course.
And my husband needed it for a time too. And we're speaking from experience with mental illness because my husband had a mental illness. He still has. He has PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And he has days still where he has to, even though he doesn't feel like it, he has to put on the armor of God every day. He has to still move forward despite not feeling like it.
Because he has learned how to be more resilient.
That's right.
And I think part of the journey to learning to be more resilient is doing the things that we know we ought to do even when it's hard and even when we don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And so, again, just to reiterate your point, I'm not saying, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. I'm not saying that medication is terrible and you should never be on medication. But what I'm saying is if you've never tried to improve your diet, if you've never tried to get some exercise, if you've never tried to learn some new skills to be more resilient, if you've never put on the armor of God every day, if you haven't surrendered your mental wellness to God and your mental health, then maybe those are some places to start before you just go to your doctor and say, I need some drugs.
That's right, because otherwise you're just going to be upping the ante, upping the meds over time. We need to help ourselves as well. We need to do the hard work. And we say that whether it's doing your healthy eating, whether it's doing your healthy movement, whether it's doing your healthy journaling, whatever it is, we need to do the things that are going to help us, that we know are going to help us, even though we don't feel like it.
Well, and I think I listen to this psychologist podcast fairly often, and he is an expert in mental wellness and mental health and mental illness and all the things. And he often talks about how like medication is, and I don't know all the terms, but like the SSRIs, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Like when we have mental illness and especially anxiety, he's talking about how it's our bodies actually working how they're supposed to work, because our body has this sense that there's danger from some experience that we've had, or somehow, right? It's our bodies and our brains working how God designed them to work. So then it's like we have this alarm bell going off in our heads. And that's what anxiety is, because it's trying to warn us about this potential danger. And then the alarm bell just gets so loud in our heads, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on until it's so distracting that we can't focus on anything else. We can't think about anything else. We're so all consumed with this alarm bell that is anxiety that it just overtakes us. And so then what these SSRIs do is they calm down the alarms. But he talks about how like often we need that medical or the medication to help calm the alarm system down, but then we have to fix the issue.
That's right.
Right? The medication brings the alarm bell down to a level where now you can start to focus on something else again. But now we got to start focusing on getting better.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of people have this misconception with medication that that's the solution. That's not the solution.
No, that's putting a Band-Aid on. We have to get to the root cause.
Yeah. And so he talks about how we have to do both, right? So you might have to do both. You might have to go get the medication, but then you also have to do the things that you ought to do.
That's right. And if you're wondering why we talk about all this mental health stuff, well, it's because we've had our own journey with mental health issues in our family. And we actually partnered with my husband's psychologist, and we actually have a course on mental wellness. And so it's called Renew Your Mind. If you're interested at all in any of what we're talking about, it's a wonderful course written by our Christian psychologist. And so please leave a message if you're at all interested, and we could send you the link. If you're interested in bettering yourself and fixing some of the root issues and dealing with some of the things and just understanding what mental health even means.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say, this is our definition of mental fitness. I like to call it mental fitness because just like we can improve our strength with physical fitness, we can get more resilient in our mental fitness. And so here's our definition of mental fitness. It means having a positive sense of how you think, how you feel, and how you act, which gives you the ability to improve your life. When you actually improve your life, you enjoy your life more. And when you enjoy your life more, you're more determined. And when you're more determined, you move forward in life. You have more successes. You can learn from your failures. And I'm going to say failures, not really meaning you're a failure, meaning that those setbacks are things that we can learn from.
Absolutely.
So we can move forward and enjoy our life a whole lot more when we're mentally fit. It's that resilience, that ability to bounce back from hardship, from stressors in our life.
Yeah, 100%. And we're late to the comment here, but hi, Michelle. We're her soundtrack at the gym. She's 2.5 weeks since her mission trip, then being sick with a bad virus.
Oh dear.
It's her first time back to the gym since July 21st. Well, you're on it, girl.
And we know that you are a big mover, and we love that about you, because that is one of the points for today. Like, keep moving, keep exercising, and Michelle, you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to go, girl.
So I think that's really all we had to talk about today, isn't it?
Yeah, we just had one more point.
Oh.
To believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it, because with God, all things are possible. You can't do it without him. You need God in your journey so that you can do it. But with him, you can.
Exactly. Amen.
And it's like
Yeah.
the little train. I think I can, I think I can. And as they turned the corner, I knew I could, because with God, we can move mountains.
Not
So-
much to add to that.
So we hope that this has encouraged you. If you're going through a hard time, I mean, let us know what your hard time is that you're going through, and we will pray with you.
Yeah, tell us in the comments what hard times you are facing so that we can pray.
That's right. Because
there's
together,
a new song I just actually heard. I forget who it was by. Was it Mercy Me? It's called Somebody Prayed, because somebody prayed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have to look that up.
Yeah, I gotta go find it. I don't know if it's new, but it was the first time I had ever heard of it. So
yeah. So give us a comment. Let us know how you're doing, what we can pray for, what hardship you're going through. But just remember that you're created in the image of God. You are a beautiful woman, chosen for greatness.
And we believe in you.
Until next time.